All right, here we go. Welcome everybody. Hope you're all staying healthy at home, but not staying bored. We hope you're enjoying our virtual film festival this year, and we're very excited that through all of this, we could still hold the 3rd annual Shorts Challenge. We want to thank our sponsor and presenter, the Maryland Film Office, and also give a shout out to the companies who've agreed to donate their services to the winner of this competition to help get their film made. These companies are Studio Unknown, Sirius Grip and Electric, Henninger Media Services, DC Camera, and Filmsters. Last year's winner was Laura Tejero, who charmed the judges and the audience with her pitch for her film Frida. Soon after that, the story behind Laura's project was discussed on an episode of NPR's This American Life, an episode called Save the Girl. That's episode 679 for those of you who want to check out that past podcast. Laura finished her film at Stanford University, and it is playing in our festival this year in the Student Shorts program, which you can check out all weekend here on our Annapolis Film Festival channel on Film Festival Flicks. So we created the Shorts Challenge in 2018 as a platform to help emerging independent filmmakers get their voices heard and their talents discovered. Film is a challenging business, and now even more challenging in this unprecedented time of social distancing. So we hope this competition can help give them a boost. Unlike other pitch competitions, we choose a different theme every year. And this year, being an election year, we chose the theme of A More Perfect Union. But that doesn't mean it was limited to just political stories. These projects explore ways to bring resolution to conflicts in our world. We have 5 amazing filmmakers here today to pitch their ideas, which we'll get to shortly. But before we do that, I want to introduce our judges. So we have Jack Gerbis, director of the Maryland Film Office. Welcome back, Jack. He's been with
Thanks, Derek.
From the very start. Always love having your sense of humor on board. Mimi Edmonds.
I'm good for something.
Aren't we all? Mimi Edmonds, who's also been here since the beginning with us and since the start of the film festival, actually, I think. And she's our fearless head of the jury every year, and she is a documentary producer and educator. Welcome back, Mimi. And we've added this year Boris Fruman, film professor at NYU and a director-producer in his own right, and he was the associate producer on the feature film The Pencil, which is included in our festival, our virtual festival this year. I highly recommend you check it out and try to watch it on the largest screen you have at home because it's stunning, beautiful. So without further ado, I just want to say hello to Patty White and Lee Anderson, the co-founders and directors of the Annapolis Film Festival. Patty and Lee, are you on? I know they're there. They're covertly watching.
We're on here. Hi, guys. Hi, everybody. Good luck to everybody. Thank you, judges.
Thank you.
Okay, so it's time now to hear from our 5 finalists, and we'll be watching their visual presentation while they explain it to the judges, and then the judges will respond and ask questions. So good luck, everyone, and we'll start with our first contestant, Kwame Hamlin. See you soon.
Hello, judges. Like many of you, we have strong ties to this region, so I consider us to be like a family. And we know in families, sometimes you're forced to have some difficult conversations. My film, Code Switch, is about one of those difficult conversations. Code Switch centers on Dwayne Trent, a Black deputy school board director in a conservative county in Virginia. Dwayne has built the life that he's always wanted. He has a loving family, an accomplished career, but that all becomes endangered on the eve of a vote that could remove a Confederate general's name from the local high school. Dwayne's daughter, Parker, returns home from her first year at historically Black college, and she challenges her father to use his position as one of the Black leaders in the community to spark meaningful change. Dwayne must decide what his culture means to him and whether it's worth risking his personal and political affiliations. I'm telling this story because Code Switch is based on my experience as someone who code switched to survive, but also as someone who found their identity at an HBCU. To cast the best actors, I'll be working with the casting agency in Baltimore. We're going to search the East Coast for the best actors, and we're going to use rehearsals to define authentic performances and to add nuance to characters on both sides of Code Switch's central argument. Dwayne is caught between two worlds, and the look of the film will showcase that internal dilemma. Naturalistic and subtle lighting will be used to establish the look of Code Switch. Muted saturation with selective contrast early will move to fuller saturation and more comprehensive contrast late to mirror Dwayne's progression. Cooler color tones will be used when Dwayne's with the board, and warmer color tones will be used when Dwayne is with his family. Anamorphic lenses will magnify the isolation and vulnerability that Dwayne feels to the world outside of his family. We're going to use dirty singles of varying heights rather than traditional over-the-shoulder shots to really reveal the intimacy. These shots will allow the breakouts to wide shots feel earned and even desired at times. Movement will be used to differentiate the space between Dwayne's work life and home life. Around his colleagues, scenes will be static and rigid. At home, scenes will be much more fluid. Here's a look at some of the storyboards that we have. We've really prepared to make this film tomorrow. The only thing missing is the budget. Here's a look at my team. Aaron Tucker, he's the cinematographer, a Maryland-based director of photography. Jason Battle, he's an assistant editor at Spike Lee's 40-Acre and a Mule Filmworks. Sharon Sagay, narrative and documentary producer based in Virginia. Claudia Myers is my primary advisor. Above the Shadows and Fort Bliss are among her titles. Tribeca Film Fest and Sundance alum. Russell Williams is my secondary advisor, Academy Award winner, Emmy Award winner, and Brian Summers is a still photographer whose work can be found in the Google Cultural Institute. Thank you very much. I'd like to answer any questions that you may have.
Nice job, Kwame.
Thank you.
Where are you looking to shoot this in? You said Baltimore Casting Company, and then, but I see it's DC references. So in the DC Baltimore region?
Yeah, so between from Baltimore to DC and Virginia.
Gotcha.
So far I've already connected with the Virginia Film Office and just looked at the Maryland Film Office website, but it will be somewhere within this region.
Well, give me a call.
Absolutely.
Congratulations, Kwame. That's really
Thank you.
thorough, and your team is very impressive, I gotta say. And the way you've thought about it in terms of filming it, your angles, your aesthetic vision is really clear. What I would like you to state again in just a sentence or two, the core of the story.
Sure. So my through line is that when we're forced to make difficult decisions, we have to take a hard look and examine who we are. So in one line, that's what the film's about.
Kwame, how long project will be?
I'm sorry, one more time?
How long film will be?
The film will be between 14 and 15 minutes. In the presentation, it's stated at 15 minutes, but I just did a revision that cut it to 14 pages.
How many scenes?
So far, there are, I believe, 18 scenes. Some are strictly visual, and then some bear dialogue.
Again, 18 scenes for 14 pages.
Yes.
It's some conflict here, okay? In my sense. How many locations?
I believe there are 8 locations. Most of the film does take place either at the Trent family household or at the school. So while there may be multiple scenes, many of them will be in the same location.
And give me description of key scene in your project, because we understand what project is about, we understand concerns, but it's no actual understanding of how you deliver these concerns through scenes in your film.
Absolutely. So
key scene in your movie.
Absolutely. So I guess I can start by, I already mentioned the through line. The inciting incident, it takes place technically before the story begins, but when Parker returns home, that's really the catalyst that puts things into motion. Plot point one, it takes place over dinner at the Trent family household. Parker gets into it with her father after really just kind of their introductory dinner back. It explodes in a way that's really unexpected. And plot point two is happens when Dwayne finally kind of has this moment of reflection at this school where he's looking at the two namesakes who are on the school's name, and really just wondering what the legacy he wants to leave. He considers his morals and he makes a decision based on that. The climax is, of course, the vote. That's the second to the last scene of the film. Ultimately, Dwayne does vote and make a moral decision. In the end, the vote does not remove the name from the school, but in terms of his personal morals, he stands by them. And within the resolution, Dwayne has lost this track of ascension to eventually lead the board, but he's much more confident and comfortable with his identity and the person that he is. Does that answer your question?
To some extent, thank you.
Okay.
How do you develop character here?
Are we talking about from pre-production or within the film?
Within the film, how do you develop Dwayne's conflict and his characteristic responses specifically?
Yeah. Well,
and Parker too. How do you go for character in these?
Sure. Well, within the film, Dwayne starts out as we start actually opening the film with a flashback, right? Dwayne's imparting some words of wisdom to a 10-year-old Parker. He's giving her seeds and words to live by, right? This is how you respond to someone. If they try to question who you are, you always sort of be yourself. But 10 years later, things have changed. That's where we pick the story back up. So Dwayne is now, he's no longer just a teacher. Now he is at the top of this board. And as we all know, school board elections are just trickle downs of the politics that we see in our world every day. So now he's facing political pressure to maintain the name of this vote. So his mind is in a different space. He's starting to think differently. At that same time, that's when Parker returns home and she's thinking differently based on her experiences at college. So they're two different people now. And then I would say that they continue to progress as Parker voices her opinion on how Dwayne should handle the situation. But she doesn't understand that there are bigger things at play, not only political, but financial, and also just his personal intentions. So they both are wrestling with that. But at a certain point, Parker backs off, right? Dwayne has to make this decision for himself.
What's that point? What is that point where he backs off?
Yeah, so
is that a specific action?
Yes. So basically, Parker is very strong in her approach, but it's not exactly getting through, right? So at a certain point, Dwayne comes to have a conversation with her in her room to try and remedy this argument, which is really the biggest argument they've had pretty much in her entire life. So she's moved enough to accept his apology and to apologize for her actions, but she's comfortable with herself knowing that she doesn't have to live with whatever decision he has to make. So she said her piece, she's done what she has to do. So it's up to him from there on. And that's when we start to move into the second plot point, and Dwayne starts to search internally on what to do.
Okay.
What's your budget, Kwame?
So we looked at the budget. There are two different budgets, right?
Mhm.
The top line budget is $35,000. That's without any favors. That's without, making sure that we get the best that this region has to offer, right? Now, we're also looking at different budgets if we can get a few people to ask for favors, and we know that will come. We know that people will like the project and the success that the screenplay has had. And then also, with a competition like this, when gear package and post-productions are taken care of, you get even more people that say, okay, let's focus on this story. I like that this is happening. So we're confident that we can get people to come in for less than that, but top line, $35,000.
Okay.
Which movie would you have in mind as reference? Because, one second, it's big, very big story, frankly. Takes time, number of scenes. It's a lot of things to package. Which movie you have in mind as a reference?
I think one of the closest references in recent years is The Hate U Give. That's by, I believe, George Tillman directed that. That's a very close reference to just the feel. It's a father-daughter story. And the daughter is she comes into her own and sort of challenges some of her father's thinking. That might be the closest one.
Derek, now question to you as head of the festival. Are we listening to Kwame, to his presentation, or are we here also to provide some advice and opinion?
Yes, you are. Can you see me and hear me? You are welcome to give your advice and opinion. We have about 10 minutes before the next one, before the Zoom meeting will cut off. So you're welcome to give him your advice and opinions, yes.
Can I ask one thing? Where do you think your weaknesses? Where are you not certain? Where do you feel you've got to get clearer, or in your own mind, really solidify?
Is this within the story or within the production as a whole?
Well, for me, it's all the same.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, either one.
Within the story, I am so confident in the story. I have received a ton of feedback. We've done well with festivals. For Coverfly, we're in the top 10 for unproduced dramatic short scripts. So I'm very confident in the screenplay. I guess the one place where there is some, I guess maybe a little uncertainty is just the fact that I don't have the team together yet. But I don't have the full team together because I don't have the full financial resources yet.
Sure.
So I mean, with my advisors and everyone that I have on board now, we have taken this as far as we can without financial resources. And I'm very confident in all of it.
It's just always good to know, because that's what people are going to look for. And so I'm glad to hear that you're very aware of what's there, confident, and what you need.
Absolutely. Thank you.
In your script, is there dialogue only, or you have something else besides dialogue?
Well,
what was the question?
Is script dialogue mostly dialogue only, or it's actually, or it's also what people are doing, of what people are when they're on their own? I mean, what is main concern in writing, dialogue or something else?
Well, it's a mixture. I've always been taught that, dialogue is important, but film is a visual medium, so you want to, try to show more than tell. So the screenplay is a mixture of that.
So, okay, so what would be something what you think you would most be interested to shoot? Acting, or what would be your key interest in making this movie, besides talking about important things? But if to speak about you as a film director, filmmaker, where your interest is, because you're talking about tone, color, and stuff like that, but directing is also something else. So what is your directing in this movie?
I don't necessarily understand that question. Could you rephrase it for me, please?
What would be your key interest in directing this movie as director? Acting, visuals, whatever.
Well, to be honest, everything that I've mentioned would be my focus. Within the style of director's homework that I've learned from people like Claudia Myers and others, we don't leave any stone unturned. Some of my favorite directors are, I guess, the greatest auteurs that we think of. So I am trying to touch on every phase of this movie that I can. This isn't something that I just put together in 2 months or 3 months. I've been working on this for over a year. So every piece, from blocking, staging, anything that we can sort of do to give us an idea, we've done. Of course, that all shifts in the heat of the moment of production, or when you get actors involved and you get new voices that want to impact the story as well. But like I said, I'm very confident in this film and in the pre-production process that we've done so far.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Kwame, before we get cut off, be sure that you get my contact information from Ashley so we can talk about, filming in Maryland.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Definitely.
Because I got a lot of time on my hands.
That sounds
And
good.
I think it's really a poignant film, and I want to see that conflict and contradiction between father and daughter in actions, as Boris is saying, in actions as well as dialogue. Both are hard, but both are there. I mean, showing reflection and showing interior motives is really hard, and it has to come out in a gesture or in a moment that's very clear to the viewer. And I know you've thought about it, because I can tell you're an innate filmmaker, but specify it when you're pitching. What are going to be those key moments? I think Boris suggested key scenes. Key moments are really going to matter. That shows you got a grasp on this. And then the production sounds good to me. So just really go for those specific moments.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, last advice. Listen,
Yeah.
less scene in the movie would make single scene stronger, because my concern is too many scenes are packaged in very short time. If you want to get to next level in relationships, you have to stay in relationships longer, but not to be brief from point to point. Of course, you can be brief. It's very specific way to work with characters and with story, but not reading your script and just having number of scenes in very short time. Be careful. Again, number of locations in very short time, moving crew around. Be careful. Less scene, bigger movie or better movie. Okay?
Thank you.
Just consider.
All right. Thank you, Kwame Hamlin from American University in Washington, D.C. with his project Code Switch. We will go ahead with our next finalist. Good luck, Kwame. Thank you for your pitch.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Forward talking to you, Kwame.
Thank you.
We have Assad Farouqi. He's a graduate of Columbia University's film program. He joins us from New York City. His project is called The Immigration Game. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hello. Great seeing you guys. I hope everyone's doing well. So I'll go ahead and start because I know the time's very valuable. It was April of 2014, and I was working in corporate America at the time. I was in finance, and it was about 9 a.m. Or 8:30 a.m. and I heard the doorbell ring. And at that time, I was in the bathroom, kind of washing my face, getting ready for work. And then I heard my father answered the door, and I heard the voice, someone's voice say, can we speak to your son? So I really, I got very scared. I locked my bathroom door, which wasn't locked at the time, and I just waited. I waited for about 5 minutes or so, but no one came up. So then I just gathered the courage, and I went ahead to go downstairs, and I saw that there were these 4 police officers, I thought at the time. They'd had black jackets on that said ICE in the back, and they were there to talk to my first cousin, who was living with us at the time. He was running a restaurant, a very struggling restaurant, and they were there because he'd overstayed his visa. When one of the officers saw me coming down as she was guarding the main door, she said, "There's another one up there," to me. So that was a very surreal experience. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I couldn't believe what I was watching. And it became somewhat of a tragic comedy. Obviously, my cousin's life changed forever, but that kind of changed my life as well, because that event forced me to think about what I'm doing. And I didn't want to be in corporate America anymore. And so I started kind of making short films, and then went to Columbia and wanted to be a filmmaker. And the short film, the proof of concept for the feature film called The Immigration Game, is about Majid, a guy who overstays his visa. He becomes undocumented. And then he comes under the tutelage and of a corrupt imam who's running an up-and-coming mosque, who has Majid meet various women to see whom he'd be able to marry on paper. And so it's a satire, it's a tragic comedy, and it's something that I actually have seen growing up here in the Muslim community in America, where a lot of men actually participate in this thing called paper marriage, and just to become legal again so they can continue supporting their families back in Pakistan. It's loosely based on that event helped me write this script, which is a proof of concept for the feature. Yeah.
Asad, hello. My name is Boris Frumin. Okay, important topic. Very interesting the way you started describing regular morning, knock on the door, being scared in bathroom. This specificity is crucial, and you're a serious guy, and most likely you will try to make serious movie. I'm talking the way I'm talking because I'm film instructor, and this is my way to talk. Now, it's definitely important topic, very important topic. Now, few practical questions. It's definitely must be explored. Experience of Muslim community in US is crucial experience, it's dramatic experience, it's challenging, it's whatever. So this is serious. Now, how long is your project? You're planning to do short film, right?
Yes, sir.
How long?
This is going to be roughly 15 minutes.
How many scenes?
The scene, there's about 5 scenes.
5 scenes.
Yeah.
But you're mentioning 3 key elements. Meeting 2 women in cafeteria, is this correct?
Yes.
Then it's something about uncle and his family.
Right. The uncle that he lives with. Yes, sir.
Right. And then meeting imam.
Yeah.
In my sense, it's 3 very strong elements of the script, each deserving short film and eventually longer movie. So if you're asking advice in conversation, because we are not only evaluating your project and we don't know who will be winner of these conversations, but because I respect what you're doing, my advice is not to rush from scene to scene, but see if you can really get intercomedy and absurdity of meeting few potential women as potential paper wives for main guy to survive in his dilemma. Okay. Again, it's very interesting to see a lifestyle which we don't know. You're talking about uncle and his setups. And it's very interesting to see imam and his interactions. So my recommendation, don't rush from scene to scene, and see maybe short film can be limited to one experience and get deeper and deeper and to explore real comedy in certain setups. Okay, I finish right now. I ask my colleagues to join. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sonic, question for you. Say it's a satire, but is it like a dark comedy, or is it like a laugh out loud comedy? You know, there's satire with humor, but it's still very serious. And then there's, you know, laughing out loud. So where is this falling?
It's a dark comedy.
Okay.
So it's not laugh out loud humor. It's serious kind of humor. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I would ask the same question about your references in terms of movies, films that deal with this plot, which is getting to be a universal one. First of all, I really like the story. I ditto Boris's opinion that it's an important one, and it's a bigger and bigger one, and it's clearly cultural identity, cultural talk, whatever. It's an important one in our society today, especially United States. I need to feel stronger the conflict with the immigration services, the threat. I think you start with it, then it kind of goes away. And I need some sense of what's going on in your head, or Majid's head. I think I agree with less scenes provoke more thought and more actually action in terms of the plot.
Mm-hmm.
But I need to feel more of the dread as well as the absurdity of it. So, and that's where I think your satire comes in, is really strong.
Sure.
And play with us with how you're going to do that. That's wonderful when you can do it. But what are your film references that lead you to do this? Especially Pakistani films, which I think are great.
So actually, some of the films that I really enjoy watching are Scandinavian movies. So the humor of Aki Kaurismäki, who's one of my favorites. And if you've watched some of his last film, The Other Side of Hope, was actually dealing with this exact topic, except for in Scandinavia. And it's never laugh out loud. It's very tragic comedy. And those colors and whatnot are kind of the way I view it. I enjoy de-dramatization versus more melodrama. So you say something which is ridiculous, and the reaction that you'd expect isn't necessarily the one that you get from the character. So it's a lot more, okay, well, that's just life, and this is how we're going to deal with it, and we keep moving. Another influence for me has just always been Spike Lee. When I saw Do the Right Thing, I viewed that film as a satire, as a dark comedy. And those last couple of scenes, especially where the scene in the cafe, which becomes the climax, where the two guys come in, and then Sal, the pizza owner, smashes the radio. It's so serious, and yet for some reason I'm laughing at what's going on. And that's kind of the what I understand to be the tone of this film. It's like, even when he's meeting these women, it's almost like this is an indiscretion. He shouldn't be doing this. This is wrong. He's tricking them. And yet, for whatever reason, I'm kind of enjoying it as a viewer. And even with the imam who actually helps him meet these women, just the conversations that they're having of how they're going to do this. And the imam has a binder of, very pious women that have come to him with like their bio data because they're having trouble getting married, which happens here a lot. Is that, when a woman reaches the age of 30 and beyond that, they start getting worried, because that's just the way our community is set up. And so then they first reach out to the local imam, right? And do you know any good men that, come to the mosque and this and that? And so this guy is actually kind of the antithesis of that. He finds, these kinds of men for them and then takes kickbacks. Serious topic, but basically it's a gray kind of film where you're wondering, well, is it the system or is it this person that's bad? And you don't necessarily have an answer at the end. You have more of a question, and you wonder what's right and what's wrong.
Assad, it's a
binder is a great idea.
Assad, it's about, okay. It's dialogue movie mostly, right?
It's both. It's
no. Okay, because we don't see situation. We see dialogue exchanges here and there. We have lifestyle in the family at home, but we don't see very much, whatever. Question is who is main, because when you're describing about women coming to imam, a question is what's the beginning of the movie. Of course, we can't spend time now rewriting your script, but again, asking you to pay attention. Because in order for us to exactly understand where people are in your story, if it's woman or women coming to imam, and then the rest of the story, maybe it's better way how to introduce need, person directing needs, and circumstances resulted from directions. Script is key thing, very important. But again, interesting, serious human circumstances here, but don't rush, just take step by step. And Eric Romer, because you mentioned Spike Lee, who's mostly in your face directing, but Eric Romer, if you know French director, who is dialogue director, but his human circumstances are very complicated. It's always moral choice and stuff like that. So please remember, Eric Romer, just check his name.
Eric Romer, thank you for that.
Yeah.
So as somebody whose day job basically is more trying to facilitate and overcome a lot of physical production challenges as the state film office, I noticed in your pitch pack, you presently live in New York, is that correct?
I go back and forth between New York and Atlanta. Right now I'm in Atlanta with my family in quarantine. So.
Oh, okay. Because that's what I was going to ask, why Atlanta if you were shooting in New York. So you have a sort of a film base there, film professionals that you constantly work with who can help out on this.
Yeah, I just actually just finished a short film, which is in post-production right now. We're on the 4th cut. And so initially I had lost that team because I am originally from Atlanta. And then I had made a bunch of short films and I applied to Columbia and moved to New York.
Gotcha. Okay.
But most of my stories end up taking place in Atlanta because that's the place that I know best. And so I made this short film, it's a one location film in a house where it's an Eid party. So right after Ramadan ends, it's an Eid party and another family's invited and it's like 10, 11 different people. But the protagonist basically is the struggling actor who is always being put down about being, trying to become an actor, and all he gets are terrorist roles. And that's, when he's meeting doctors and whatnot, it's about that. And then it's also about just the love of his life who's about to leave him. And she's at this party and she's marrying her first cousin who's also at this party. And so it becomes this very maniacal kind of situation where he finds out at this party that this is what she's doing. And we find out later that she'd given him 6 months to make it as an actor and hadn't even been 3, but she says her parents would never agree. And so it's a lot of things mishmashed together within the guise of a party.
Gotcha.
And coming back to the point so I found my team with this film, and that's
And then also the pitch package, I believe I saw where you're talking about locations, restaurants, malls, that type of thing. A short film and a limited budget.
Yep.
How are you going to pull that off? And jumping on what Boris and Mimi both said is about, tightening it up some. So was that just examples of where some of this interaction would be, or these are places you actually want to see in the film?
So I have I actually have a Pakistani restaurant owner that I know, and he'd be willing to let us shoot there after hours. And so we have a scene there. The coffee shop is the main location that we're going to have difficulty finding, confirming.
Okay.
But other than that, every other location, we have a mosque, and they're willing to let us shoot there for free.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. And I see your budget's just shy of 20,000, basically.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
What? Tell me more about the women. Can you characterize them?
Yeah. So these women, the two women that he meets in the short, it's interesting that he invites both of them at the same cafe, but about 20 minutes apart. And he does that because he doesn't have a car. So he kind of doesn't really have a way to be mobile and be quick enough. So he's trying to get them both out of the way as quickly as possible. They're both Pakistani. They're both in their mid-30s, and it's more about just his interaction with them, whereas he's kind of saying, when are you willing to get married? So he's getting right to the point. He doesn't really know how to converse with a woman properly. Both of them, which is something similar about them, is that they're both unwilling to take that step without their parents being involved, which is another heavy thing that's in the culture. Yes, sorry.
I just would be wary of making them stick figures.
Yeah.
I know they're not critical, but I think they should have some nuance and edges, and they're not just ploys for your larger plot. They're I know the irony and the satire would be in making them just stick figures and stereotypes. I would give them some nuances.
Okay.
And as a woman, I think it's important, whatever film you're making, for that to be considered.
Okay.
Assad, if again, something is interesting because your specifics are coming from real life and they are open-minded about people, very important. In the same time, concern is here. My advice, because it's also advising session, don't rush with each scene. Don't rush with each situation. Take, again, it's your production circumstances, it's schedule, it's time allotted for you to shoot at certain location. A lot of headaches. This why I'm saying maybe a cafeteria and maybe not 2 women, but 3 women. Defining each of them, supporting Mimi concern, defining each of them of having certain specifics. One of them, you know your people better than we do, but pay attention maybe to these 4 characters in one place and milk this situation as long as you can. Bringing level of absurdity. One of the women decided to come back, seeing him with another woman. You can work situations longer. This is always great challenge.
Yeah.
And then coming home, and there is his sister who needs to be married. Just stay with topic. You understand me?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying, you don't limit yourself to short film because probably you have enough material for much longer project.
Oh, so this is a feature script that won the Atlanta Film Festival. And so this short is actually a proof of concept for that feature, which we've already written. And I've actually found a producer for it. Her name's Melody Sisk. She produced the A24 film last year, Death of Dick Long, which played at Sundance. So it is a bigger film, actually, that I plan on making. This is more a proof of concept, actually. So I'm actually going to take your advice and make it more a one setting thing as much as possible. The last scene I'd let you know, because I know that you guys weren't able to read the script, is that basically he comes home and he gets on Skype and we find out that he has a wife and 2 kids.
Again, this would be probably sufficient for short film because short film is one thing, not 5 things. It's one thing.
Yeah.
If it's about I need woman, I have woman. Then woman would work as a movie. You understand that?
Yeah.
No, okay. Take it easy, okay? Because again, from my point, we don't know how we will vote. But concerns are serious, and we don't know you as a filmmaker because it's not so easy to do this talking heads movie. At this point seems to be this kind of movie, which could be a very good one.
Yeah.
But just be patient and don't rush. Just get to next level. In each meeting with each woman, it should be at least 2 things, not 1 thing, okay? Of course, he has his set of questions, blah, blah, blah. I'm finished. Please. Okay.
It's true.
Okay.
What are your fears? What are your challenges? Where's the possible weak link? What do you want more advice on?
I think the main challenge is exactly what he just said, was about making sure it ends up not being too much for a short, because I think shorts should be mostly about like one thing. It shouldn't be too many ideas lumped into a film, and it's more about picking the right kind of chunks to make it one kind of extended idea for a 10 to 15 minute film, and just finding that happy medium to do it in. But I'll definitely take that advice.
And even at the end, if after talking to his wife, he goes to bathroom and then knock to the door, and guys in uniforms coming to apartment, could be end of the movie. You understand me? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I got it.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
The point being.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Azad.
Yes, you were saying. I'm sorry. She was.
So
I feel like that point is really made. And I want to read over the whole thing because I feel it went so quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot there. It's a big story, and your characters have to be really, really clear. It can't be mushy, especially if it's going to be a theater of the absurd and the irony of the situation, and it's such a controversial topic. I want to read over your presentation and the script and synopsis.
Sure.
I don't know. I think having in Atlanta is a nice change from New York or LA. I think it's.
I would agree with Mimi, because this environment and Pakistani family and Pakistani characters and Atlanta, this seems to be serious. And just regard how you can introduce locations, because interiors are interiors. They are same everywhere. But when, okay. Be thoughtful.
Absolutely.
Right.
I'll email the script. So if any of you guys have a chance to read it and give notes via email, I'd love that.
We'll do
Thank
it.
you so much.
Yeah. Be good.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Assad. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good luck with it.
Absolutely.
Omar Al-Dakil from Los Angeles, a graduate of USC, University of Southern California, and his project is called Everybody Watching.
Everybody's watching,
Yes, and we are.
Yeah.
Go right ahead whenever you're ready.
By the way, it's up to you if you want to click on I sent 2 files. One of them is timed, or I can just go through it as you scroll down. It's all good.
Is that okay? Sorry, my computer doesn't have Keynote, so can I just use the PDF?
Yeah. That's fine. Thank you, Ashley.
Awesome.
Nice to meet you, by the way.
You too.
Okay. So everybody's watching. That's a documentary. I come from a documentary background. As Derek said, I live in Los Angeles, but I'm originally from Kuwait. I'm an immigrant. I'm Muslim. And so this project means a lot to me because as Muslims in America, we, especially recently, there's a lot of hate crimes and a lot of negative, confrontation with people like me. Whether men and women, and so everybody's watching about the first ever Muslim community patrol. As you can see, it looks like NYPD cars, but with Assalamu alaikum, which is peace be upon you in Arabic, and it's basically created last year, so it's relatively new. And so the film or the documentary will tackle this Muslim patrol. It's going to be like a cinema verite style, where we will follow the folks in the Muslim patrol as they try to deter the hate crimes against Muslims. And in New York City alone, Muslims make around 10%, of the population. And the hate crime since 9/11 has been rising. And
excuse me, Omar, 1 second. Is Boris on?
I'm here. I'm listening.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Didn't see you there, Boris. Okay.
No, thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, sorry, Omar.
No worries at all. And so So it takes place, it's the first of its kind in the nation, and it was created with the help of New York City NYPD and the Brooklyn Chief Bureau, Eric Adams. And so there has been a history of Muslims mistrusting NYPD, and there's a history of NYPD mistrusting Muslims, and now that led to this creation, especially with a lot of hate crimes. A few years ago, there's an imam has been killed with his assistant. I mean, last year in Ramadan, there was this attack in New Zealand, but it's a global thing against Muslims and has been on the rise. And so the difference between this community watch and any community watch is, as you can see, it looks like NYPD cars, and a lot of people are seeing it and looking like afraid. Why are you impersonating NYPD? Is this for real? Why not be on foot like any other community watch? Why do they have to get like police squad cars? And so all of these things, so that's what makes it controversial and makes it look different. And so it's like a community, I said, like it's community watch, but on steroids. Now, the person that runs it is presently, she's only 23 and she's from New York. Her name is Mawish Fatma, and she is the director of operations. So she just basically put this whole thing on. And like Derek said, my last film was also a documentary. It was also following a female imam, which was a very controversial thing within the Muslim community, because a lot of times we don't see Muslim women in the front lines, and the perception that they're oppressed or something like that. But here we have a case where she's basically the boss. She's only 23, and she's running this whole organization. It's a nonprofit 501 organization, and they already bought 3 cars with her leadership. And so we will follow the film. The structure will be like, okay, they just started. Now they're going to get more funding to buy more uniforms and train more volunteers. So we're going to see them train more volunteers with the help of retired NYPD officers. So the training, there's different stages of training. I mean, after orientation and like what their values and what they stand for and all that, we get to the bulk, like the beef, which is the actual first aid, CPR, and AED. Also basic self-defense and security licensing. So, it's actually like, they do background check, they make sure you're over 18 years old and all of that thing. And then they teach you and they do the training. And then you will be qualified to patrol. The majority of what they do is patrolling the community, and usually it's around mosques, because that's where a lot of attacks, hate crimes happen, a lot mosques, Islamic schools, and Muslim neighborhoods, but also they're inclusive of everyone. So they don't only protect Muslims, but everybody in the neighborhood. And so now the neighbors, you have some of them are against it and some of them with it, some of them are in the fence. The people that are against it, they fear that in the future, which has been a few instances in the UK, for example, with similar patrol, where it was, they're afraid of implementing Sharia law, which is basically like, no selling of alcohol, or like women who was wearing like 2 shirts of a dress or something like that. So that's what some residents are afraid of. On the other hand, some Muslims are afraid that one person, like one bad apple from this community patrol could make it like make a step in the wrong direction, and it will paint all Muslims bad, and they will just shut it down, and it will make things even worse than before. So beside patrolling, there's many things. Ashley, if you can go up a little bit. Beside patrolling, they do other social services, such as feeding the homeless. They go in Manhattan, near Times Square, and they feed a lot of homeless people every Friday. They've been doing it, and they even with the coronavirus now, they're doing it. But then now they're doing it in Brooklyn, near their headquarters. And I'll get to the coronavirus later and how that's happening right now. Because I guess that's everybody's mind right now when making a film. And so besides feeding the homeless, they also help with a lot of things, like even like for a lot of immigrants like myself and many people, like immigration has been such a divisive issue in America recently. It's always been, but now, especially the new administration. And so they assist a lot of immigrants. And as maybe you heard, even like ICE has been like working even during the coronavirus. And so a lot of people, and starting even with the Muslim ban or travel ban, whichever you want to call it, a lot of people, their status was, they were in a limbo and they can't go back, but they can't even stay here. So MCP has been helping them with immigration application. So these are some of the social services. They also help with family counseling, like domestic violence, for example. They also help with elderly assistance and with translation. But again, these are things that other people don't like. Like if you're saying like, oh, well, everybody should speak English and integrate to the American society, why do we have to translate for them? You have that point of view. So that's what makes it, has, a backlash in New York City. So these are some of the social services that they have. Like with the political climate right now, we're going to be like in 2021, which hopefully we're going to have our next festival, which I'm hoping to win this thing, it's going to be the 20th year anniversary of 9/11. And so, a lot of people see that it's an attack from Muslims against the US, but a lot of people like me and a lot of Muslims feel we were attacked when we had nothing to do with it. And that led to the creation of something like this. And so I want to make this documentary because it really documents the history of America and what's happening. And 20 years later, what are the conclusions? Now we have a Muslim community patrol. The Muslims are mistrustful. Everybody's afraid of everybody. And to go back to the short challenge about unity and more perfect union, what stops people from having a perfect union? I think the reason is fear. And that's a theme that I would like to tackle here with this patrol, is why people are afraid, and it says everybody's watching because Muslims are watching other hate crimes, but other people are watching Muslims attacking them. It's everybody's watching everybody, and that's because of fear. And I really want to show that in this documentary. I want to tackle that theme because unity is stopped because of fear. So now, in New York City, the city allowed not only Muslim, but before Muslims, they allowed the Hasidic Jewish community to have their own patrol as well. And then the Asian community to have an Asian patrol. And so in the film, we will show the Muslim, which was the latest one to join, how they get advice and insights from other minority community patrols, like the Asian community or the Jewish community, and get advice from them and collaborate in different things. Especially like right now with like Asian Americans, you see that a lot of attacks that have happened recently because of the coronavirus, and you see, for example, like the Asian community patrol dealing with a lot of that. So we want to show the collaboration between different minorities coming together and working together and sharing like advice and insight to help each other. So that's another thing that I want to show to represent unity between minorities and to show the diversity in New York. So why the backlash? I think I tackled that earlier, which is, some people are afraid it's going to just, Islam is going to take everywhere and they're going to implement Sharia law and many different things. Also, some Muslims are just afraid. Others, which is a big chunk of it, they would say, well, the point is to integrate in America. Why don't you become part of NYPD? Why do you have to create your own? Why don't we all come together? Why have only Muslim neighborhood, Jewish neighborhood, Asian neighborhood, patrol? Why not all of us be in the same place? But, that's an idealistic look at America, where it's like, post-racial, where people believe that America is, everything is good and everybody should be together, but that's not the case. Whether right or wrong, that's not the case, and that's why I want to make this documentary. So the idea of melting pot versus a salad, melting pot, everybody's melting, where a salad, each, the lettuce by its own and tomato on its own, and everybody's, so they can, complement each other, but they don't melt. So there's two ideas of America. At the end, the conclusion of the film, which I'm hoping to gain after documenting this film, is did the presence of the Muslim community patrol stop? Was it a prevention? Did it stop the hate crimes? Did it reduce it or not? And also another conclusion: is this the solution for a more united America, or this is the solution for right now, or is this not a solution at all? So these are two things that I'm trying to get after, as a conclusion of making this film. So that's it. That's my pitch in general. I hope I didn't talk too fast. I hope you ask me all the questions that you have, but it really means a lot to me as a Muslim in America and as an immigrant. especially right now. And I'm very glad that to have you know, a festival like Annapolis Film Festival, where this you know, short challenge is really tackling an issue that's on everybody's mind. And I hope with this documentary, I can give answers to those questions.
I'll start. I think I want to see it right now. Such a great idea. How long do you see this being? Because as you were talking, it's like this should be a full-length documentary, not just a short. So what do you think
I mean,
about length?
I'm thinking right now would be the length of what would be on a PBS, the average of a 30 minutes, which is 26 minutes and a half right now. So that's what I'm thinking. Having said that, if we end up with like big events happening and it requires the extension of a longer film, then I'll definitely consult with the festival if I would be able to make this. But for right now, I see it as a 30-minute documentary, and I do see it as a very cinema verite, very narrative film. You know, I don't see it as sit down, talking heads interviews. I don't see that at all. It's gonna be like very cinematic, and especially in New York City and with police cars. You know, and it's like we're just gonna follow these people from training, you know, all the way until the end, and we'll see what happens.
And do you already have permission from them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's
Exclusive permission.
Great.
Omar, this is Mimi, and it's an
Hi.
exciting idea. I've never seen anything like this, and
Thank you.
I live way up in Maine, so we don't have one yet, but we have a lot
Okay.
of Muslims. Anyway, I think it's a great idea. My big question to you is, how do you enter this story? I know it's cinema verite, so you don't really know because you don't know what you have yet. But I feel right now it's everything you want to know about Muslims, Muslim community control, Muslims in America. And and I know it's this idea of the patrol, which is unique, but I'd like your sense of how you're going to enter it with a person, a human being that we can get involved with, that we can care about as they bounce back and forth in this fractious society. So
Yeah.
a little bit more idea of how you would stream it out, edit it out. And it can't be everything.
No, it can be everything. And this is not, and I don't want to tell it about like, oh, Muslims or Islam or everything. And that's one thing that I also struggled with my previous film, which we ended up solving, Al Imam, which is about a female imam. And it was a lot about like, what is Imam, what is Islam, a lot of things. And then the idea and the film become very focused when we really followed her as a human being and her doing her thing with her daughter, with her family and everything. And I think when we follow Mawesh, which is a 23-year-old who started this whole thing last year, she was 22, she just just graduated from college. I want to start with her. Why doing what you're doing? Go to her family, her brothers and her sister, her parents. Where do they come from? Why did they come to America? What are the things that she faced that made her want to do this? So I want to get to the personal story of it. So I want to follow her structure as a Muslim woman who wears a hijab in New York City, growing up like with 9/11, just like she was born like when she was 3 years old, 9/11 happened. So that whole thing was like her upbringing. So I really want to follow her. I don't want to go into like just statistics and just talking heads, but I really want to follow her. So start with her, the why does she does what she does, and then go into the training right away. Go to the training, her training everybody, and follow the volunteers and get to their personal lives. Who are they? What they're doing, and what made them do what they do, and does this change their mind to the better or to the worse? Are they come out at the better end? Do they quit? Do they not quit? A lot of people can identify with like starting a nonprofit or starting a mission or going through something. So that's also another narrative that I want to follow. Can this continue? Is this sustainable, or this is going to shut down? Because just like what I did with Al Imam, which is like is she going to be able to sustain being an imam and continue having her community service or not? So that's a structure that I want to follow through Mawesh. I want to follow this patrol, and whether it continues or not, or whether it gains more visibility, more funding, more support or not. while also having the personal connection to her and her family and why she does what she does. Why does this give her a purpose? What happened to her? What happened to her family?
Okay.
Of course.
It's good. It has very serious potentials. It's not a short film if you are serious, okay?
Okay.
No. Because I do appreciate already sequencing, and each sequence deserves time and understanding. It's good you have lead character in your head, but probably dealing with group, you will find some interesting and fascinating guys.
True.
So with your commitment to women as the head of the force, of course, it's good to be open to anything would come your way.
Right.
Fred Weissman, his movie Law and Order. Are you familiar?
Law and Order, are we talking about TV show or are we talking about
No, we're talking about Fred Weissman. Do you know this director?
Filmmaker.
No, I'm sorry.
So can you write down Fred
Yes,
Weissman?
Yeah, I'm gonna write it down right now.
Just from top of his list, all his black and white movies are exactly what would be helpful. And his documentary about police, which is outstanding, outstanding work in black and white called Law and Order.
I know. His name is Fred. What's his name again?
W-E-I, Weissman.
Weissman. Okay. Okay, got it.
Did you get it?
Yes.
Okay, so just get to his movies. This is the best education. Not film school, but Fred Weissman, okay?
Okay.
Okay, now,
okay, cool.
Because dealing with ideology, it's very important not to be ideological.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm listening to you. I do respect subject. I anticipate serious work about subject and character. But I would be very disappointed if it would become ideological and preachy about good and bad, okay?
Yes.
Okay, so just stay open-minded, be up to subject, but it's not short film. And you, I don't know how you will get your financing, but I do believe with proper channels, you can go to networks and see if they would be interested, because it's serious pitching material for them to support you. If I would be executive, I would definitely deal with you. Who's your DP?
My DP, his name is Asad Farouki. Not to confuse him with the one that's going to pitch to you. That's another friend of mine. But he did 2 movies that won 2 Oscars. Saving a Face about acid attacks in Pakistan. And another one about a girl in the river, which is basically about honor killing in Pakistan. He also just won an Emmy Award for Armed with Faith, which is about people who deactivate bombs. So he's also based in New York City. And he's my DP. He already...
Okay, no, it sounds good. I hope he's good. But again,
great,
it's opportunity not only for important film, but opportunity for good filmmaking. Because Hasidic Patrol, Asian Patrol, Muslim Patrol, these are sequences, not necessarily to take substantial part, but training, characters, this young girl as a head. It's a number of things here which would work in solid sequences, but do good sequences. Don't rush. Just stay about each experience as long as you can, accumulate footage, and then in editing room. But you do need to know. And I'm asking you, what is your last scene? Last scene in your movie. Last scene in your movie.
Yeah.
What is the last scene that I see?
Uh-huh.
I see the last scene of Mawesh either having enough funding and she's training more people, or she's just given up. That's what I see as
right. You're right. You don't know. You anticipate, but again, don't try to be nice. Okay.
Okay.
Don't
try. Go ahead. Elaborate on that point.
No. Don't try to be nice. You have to challenge us by making this movie. You understand me?
Got it. Yes.
It's difficult.
And I really like your the point that you mentioned about ideology and be open, because that's really, just as a Muslim doesn't mean I'm making a promotion video for them, because I can be open about, I can, like, maybe as a documentarian I find something that I don't agree with, and something that give an insight about, maybe this is divisive, maybe this is not good, maybe this is, or whatever it is, and I want to be open to it. So I want to make sure.
You're right. Again, I'm older guy and you're younger guy. I'm asking you, be open and be serious. And, it's not taking sides. It's helping to understand.
Yes.
Understanding is key approach. And get
Curiosity.
and get to dimensions. Don't stay one way. People will get tired from one kind of thing through movie. Just each time it should be next turn in understanding. Next turn in understanding, from militant argument to peaceful to compromises. You have to study subject, because Muslim community in very special spot today. And you have to help people to understand rightness and wrongness, because nothing in black and white. Okay? Just be up to, intellectually be up to things, okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Okay. Any other last thoughts before this call shuts off? I think we have about 5 more minutes.
I can give my last thoughts.
No. Just if you have questions, ask.
Yes. So my question, a question. I totally hear. I think that point has been said 3 times about this is don't rush it, and this could be a feature, and this could be longer. My question is, and maybe this is more for Derek, or is it possible to make this as a short, and then if there is more footage and more there is to the story, I can develop it into a feature? Because I'm definitely open to that idea. I don't want to be like counted out just because of that. I mean, I understand, and I have previous connections with, as you know, Derek Al-Imam has been acquired and is already on National Geographic and is already on PBS. So I do have and already on Vimeo Traffic. So I already have connection with big, outlets. And I want to capitalize on that, but I also want to capitalize on this opportunity. And I think it's something that I don't want it to prevent me, because the amount of time of filming the footage is about being calculated, and about being know what you want. And then in the editing, it's not like in fiction where feature is like 30 days and like short is 3 days. With documentary, I met Werner Herzog once, and he told me in his Into the Ibis film, he only shot 6 hours and he made a 2-hour movie. So, and do not overshoot in documentaries. So that's something that I learned. So I hope that I'm not come to that because there is not enough time of me filming. I think I do have enough time of me filming. And if that footage ends up to be a feature, I hope, that's okay. If it's a short, it's okay.
No, listen, in my sense, Derek will decide, but you do need, if things will happen, you need some material to continue to work with material.
Yes.
Because you just good luck, okay?
Okay. And I do want to say that the events that I want to follow, for example, so now with coronavirus, even the unit is also working very hard, especially with the elders and with Medicare and providing other things like food. But also there is the 9/11 anniversary, but also Ramadan is coming at the end of May, and the Eid. So I intend to go maybe until before the next, if I'm, get this before the next festival, is that every month there's actually some event that big for Muslims. So, or in New York or in America that I'm trying to document. So I'm not trying to just go in one weekend, but I'm also trying to be calculated when I plan my, my shooting. So I don't end up with just filming everything. So I think there's a lot of materials. I agree. I definitely agree. There's a lot of materials that I want to keep filming. I want to keep developing, especially with Muslim holidays. And also, and something maybe I forgot to mention, if I don't capture it, I'm intending to have like body cams with like the community patrol. So if like a hate crime happens or something that we're not there, we can use that footage.
Yep.
And so
And
that's
one
something.
One more thing.
Yeah.
When you said, I'm not talking heads documentary guy, but you do probably need extensive interviews with.
Oh, I do. Yes.
And don't be committed to single style, because with this kind of topic, it, in my sense, it could be or should be mixture of different approaches. It's verite, it's talking heads and body cameras, everything to create very unique experience on screen. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of angles, a lot of shots of one scene. Again, I would ask yourself as you're going through it, what are the most grabbing scenes to you? I mean, I still think you are taking on everything, which, you know, Weissman shot hours and hours and hours of footage, and then he spent 2 years editing. But listen to what you respond to in what you've already gotten, because they may be elements that you want to go further in rather than skipping a lot, but just watch the film fresh every time and see what takes you someplace. Because I think a lot of sequences, if that's what Boris is talking about, too many sequences is dizzying, and it then becomes a survey. But in depth to, in particular, which can represent so much more than just that event.
Yes.
You listen to
And
that.
I totally agree with that. And believe me, I've gone through it with my previous documentaries. And it's always like with documentary, you want to calculate and want to plan, but I feel like the more you plan and the more you prepare, the more you can go off track, you know? And so to me with documentary, that's, I'm giving you different perspective and different things that we might end up seeing. But let's say if there's one big hate crime happens, maybe the film will be building to that and then editing around it. And then what happens before it and what happened after it.
Right.
You know, for example, one of the comms that I mentioned when I initially applied was about Midnight Family, and it's about this. So it's great. It was one of my favorite. Derek, I see your finger. I'm gonna wrap up. So
it might wrap it up for us. I'm just warning you. It might automatically cut down.
All right. Well, that film was a good comp where there's many things happen, but we could follow a certain event.
Good example.
Just to your question about, you can do a short and a feature and make them separate projects. Look at the film Skin, which just won an Oscar last year, and they released their feature version this summer. 2 different projects, but yours could be a short first, and then you can go do a feature version. So
the answer is yes.
Yes.
Okay.
You're allowed. Okay. Well, thank you, Omar. That was Omar Aldakil from
Thanks,
LA.
Omar.
Thank you very much for your pitch. Good luck.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yes, my name is Yelena Krasheva. I'm a filmmaker based in Los Angeles, and the title of my story is The Magic Ticket. So basically, the title of my story is The Magic Ticket, and it centers around a homeless female named Penny, who finds herself sitting in front of a fancy restaurant during Christmas time. And one of the patrons of the restaurant, upon exiting, throws her a $500 gift certificate to that restaurant. And when Penny goes in, she enters this world of privilege and entitlement. And when she orders a meal, the dining room virtually splits in half, with half the people being okay with her dining there and half the people complaining about it. So she asks her waiter how much money she has left on her gift card, and he tells her that she has way over $400 because she only ordered one meal. So she offers to spend the remainder of her gift card to buy everyone in the dining room a small glass of champagne or sparkling wine. And when a tray of drinks arrives, she addresses the room and apologizes if her presence offended anyone, and then grabs a plate and walks outside, sits down on the sidewalk where we found her at the beginning of the story. And most of the patrons, ashamed of themselves, one by one, grab their plates and walk outside and sit down right next to her. So at the end of the story, as the camera slowly pulls away, we see a bunch of people sitting in a circle on the sidewalk sharing a meal, as they should be during the Christmas time. And this story kind of has a personal meaning to me because I'm myself an immigrant. I came to this country 17 years ago with nothing but $300 in my pocket and a dream to make a better life for myself, and I have. And I feel very lucky and grateful every day that I live here. And that's why it really pains me to see what's been happening in the country, especially in the recent years, and how much anger and hatred and intolerance people have towards each other. And when I found out about this creative challenge, I didn't really approach it as a political question. No, what can bring us together right now? I believe that both conservative liberals have all these great solutions that can work, and I hope they'll find a way to come together and implement them. I approach this challenge as more of a philosophical question. What can bring us together right now? And there is no simple answer. And I might be naive, but I do believe that what can work is a simple act of kindness, and doing something that you would not normally do, doing something selflessly, doing something for a stranger, being more tolerant of one another, being more tolerant towards people who cannot be more different than you are. And that's exactly the film I want to make. I want to make a very simple story, very, very simple but kind message like that. And the fact that it takes place during Christmas time is not arbitrary. Christmas is the time when we all come together usually and forget our differences and gather around the table and share meals like we have been for hundreds and hundreds of years, politics not involved, So in my presentation, you can see that I would like to employ a lot of visual language and symbolism and play a lot with color and lights, primarily colors being reds and blues because they are the traditional or common Christmas colors, I should say. And they are also the colors of the American flag and the colors of the opposing political parties. And there is also a moment in the story where a police car shows up outside the restaurant, and they kind of like flashing the lights on Penny's face, and that's where I kind of want to do a play on colors a little bit as well, because red and blue police lights kind of like make us feel alert and give us that kind of a sense of danger. So I personally think that this film can have a really interesting visual language, and it's also fairly easy to produce because it only takes place in one location. So really the biggest challenge of making the film would be getting enough extras and people to fill the room. So yeah, that's all I got to say. It seemed like the video part played a little longer than.
Yeah. I guess before we begin and we have questions and comments, I just want to compliment you on the pitch package. I mean, the colors showed through, the atmosphere showed through, the photos that you used to represent it. And yeah, it drew me in just from looking at it earlier this morning. So congratulations on that.
Okay. Thank you.
Are you primarily a writer-director, or are you also a DP?
I'm a writer-director, and I have a writing partner because, as not being a native speaker, I do need help with dialogue a lot. So I do have a writing partner that I work with. But no, I'm not a DP. However, I do have a best friend who I, met in film school, and we've been doing a lot of projects together. So he's already attached to this as well.
Okay. No, because I was going to say, looking at the pitch package, the success of this is going to depend a lot on the look of it.
Absolutely.
The saturation, the style. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mimi, Boris, any?
Well, do you have to make it Christmas?
Well, yes, I as I mentioned in my pitch, Christmas means a lot to me because, like I said, this is the time that people come together. This is the time when kind of people gather around, forgetting their differences. And I also think that in terms, just visually, it's very appealing, just in terms of, the decorations and the lights. And I mean, I do believe that it's not going to be that challenging to decorate. I do already have a space. A restaurant that will allow me to film, and it's a fairly small place. It's about 20 seats, so I don't think that in terms of production design that will be that challenging to decorate that.
No, I think it's a really winning idea, and your goals are noble and good. I would say I would like a little more unpredictability. I feel like, yeah, it's going to be kindness and they're going to all turn around. But I think if you give it a little more edge, nuance, sort of, that it doesn't happen so easily. I need the unpredictable in there, not what I would expect.
Gotcha.
You're kind of leading me down the trail, and I'm going to say, yeah, everybody's going to have a conversion, and they're all going to be sorry, and it's going to be happy. And you know, life isn't like that. And yet it has the depth of exactly what we have to do. So I would develop the script a little more so that there's this surprise element in the character and in the actions. And I was thinking, you know, maybe if it wasn't Christmas, but it was another time, but Christmas definitely works. So that's,
I mean, the moment when everybody decides to come outside, there has to be more that will prompt that change. That's what you mean?
Yeah, that they don't turn around so automatically.
Gotcha.
I mean, I would think about it, but give me a surprise, because I have a feeling I know where it's going, and I want to be surprised a little more.
Okay.
But it's, you know, it's a lovely idea, and I agree with. I agree that the colors are really great, and it's going to be lively because of what you do. And I liked your references a lot. Vertigo, tell me how that fits in.
Well, I was looking at the restaurant scenes and just looking at the more of like a color palette of that, and just lots of reds and very opulent colors. So that's
in Vertigo.
Yes.
And Jack is right. I think you have a good aesthetic there.
Okay, so Christmas time seems to be family holiday, and you're saying Christmas time in restaurant. And it's also 20 seats place. How long is your project?
Right now the script is 10 pages.
So it's in 10 minutes, it would be what? It would be establishing woman, sidewalk, her entering, her having meal, her ordering champagne. And then what kind of conflict is started after her ordering champagne?
The half of the patrons in the dining room start complaining to the staff and the general manager about her being there.
Do you really see it to happen in American restaurant?
Yes, I work in a restaurant for as long as I lived here to help myself.
And what kind of
many times.
Okay, what kind of people are? Is it full restaurant, 20 seats taken?
Well, I'm thinking that it's not going to be full. I mean, mostly at least 15 people, probably.
Are they defined in your script, or it's just crowd?
They will be defined. Right now, they're not, as I'm developing it. But of course, they will be defined. And there is I do understand that I have to have more of a, in terms of a conflict that you mentioned, I need to have more of a kind of an antagonist, someone who maybe gets up and says something to her. Like it has to have a face.
Excuse me,
I do understand that, and
right.
I do.
Is script written, or it's just an idea?
It's written, yes. It's in the second draft right now.
But you're still talking about defining who would be in conflict with women, right?
Well, I do have, there is an old lady who is basically she represents the people who are opposing for this homeless woman to be there. So she basically stands up and complains to the general manager about her being there.
Is this old woman alone with her family?
She's there with her husband.
Two of them celebrating Christmas in restaurant.
Yes. Well, it's not Christmas Day. It's around Christmas time. So let's say it's December 23rd.
For me personally, black, red and blue reference seems to be straightforward. Because Hitchcock, if you're talking about Vertigo, he would probably not be as symbolic in his treatment of color and stuff like that. And police lights, Okay.
So you think it needs be more subtle rather than be so in your face?
Again, it's your choice. I can only say that when you're saying Vertigo, and I remember Vertigo restaurant. It's practically unnoticeable color, and you're using Vertigo as reference. It's not exactly helpful. If to speak about restaurant and crowd in restaurant, Playtime by Tati, in which he is packaging number of characters in restaurant, each one defined, but he is not about conflict, he is about manners and stuff like that. But Tati and Playtime could be helpful about restaurant. Anything specific about homeless woman? How old she is? Do you know why she is on the street? Why she is in the street, on the street in front of restaurant? We know Los Angeles. Are you in Los Angeles, right? It's a lot of people on the street. What is special about her as a character?
For me, she is around 40 years old, and I picture her to be a former veteran. And she suffers from PTSD. That's the backstory.
So
that
she's spending $100 on her meal. Is this correct?
She got a gift.
She's given a gift card. So
no, I understand, but in script she spends some money on her food, and then she's spending rest.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Again, what she's ordering in restaurant?
She ordered just one. She ordered the steak.
And how much it costs her?
About $30.
You know, because these kind of things, when you're saying she is spending rest of the money to buy champagne or bubble wine, which is big difference, frankly, and you're saying it's expensive place, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm saying that she asks the waiter what can she buy every patron in the restaurant. Not saying champagne, sparkling wine, a small glass, just enough for everyone to have. So she spends the rest of that gift card that she can't do anything else with. I mean, maybe she could have gotten a bunch of food that she could take home with her, but she chooses not to. So she just buys everybody a small glass of sparkling wine and gives it to everybody in the place.
Why she's having this idea to buy people wine?
Because she feels all this resentment and hatred towards her, and she wants to kill it with kindness. She doesn't want to, act the same way. She wants to do something kind for the people.
This is her reaction to one woman complaining about her too. Okay, thank you.
What if, I think the point is made, 10 minutes isn't a long time. What if you have one of the patrons absolutely refuse to take it from her, or go a little bit further with the story? I don't want to see everybody converting so easily.
Gotcha.
In a way, but I know 10 minutes is no time at all. Right. Just a little bit of differences in your characters would give it the oomph. And I agree, a little more development of her. That also is surprising. It's good that you have a woman vet suffering from PTSD.
Yeah, this is good. This is good.
Yeah.
And at the end, police is called. Why police is called?
Oftentimes, when the homeless person is in the restaurant, the managers call the police.
After serving her meal.
Well, it's when she first sits down. And actually, the way that I have it is that it's the old lady that calls the police and complains.
And the rest of the patrons, their repulsion starts the moment she walks in?
Yes.
Gotcha.
So you kind of see the reactions,
right.
Maybe whispering and somebody moves a chair away and things like that.
Right. Again, I from the get-go, when I saw the pitch package, I love the whole idea, but I wonder if the extremes from the haves and the have-nots, it was brought a little closer together. Certainly, if women are there are dripping in diamonds, and it's like, Tavern on the Green in New York, one, is that woman going to get in there? But if it's more, mid-level, showing it's just not the ultra wealthy that shows disdain for the homeless, but, middle-class people, people that really aren't so well off.
Okay.
That throw a little bit of idea into it.
Okay.
Keep it from being a cliche.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking necessarily that kind of super fancy restaurant.
Mhm.
But I agree with you. That's a great point.
Again, trying to be helpful, because it should be something in woman behavior, not just her presence.
Mhm.
It should be some, and you saying she's in some mental state. Is she mentally good or she has some problems?
She has troubles.
Because this is behavior. And if you will consider her behavior in the restaurant leading to escalation, and because just her being homeless, it could be not enough, or it's too fast and it's too straightforward.
Mhm.
Is she right in her behavior? If her behavior become difficult for people around her, just be more patient with situation. Because we don't read scripts, we just listening to you pitching.
Mhm.
But it's about behavior leading to reaction, escalation, because it seems to be too fast in 10 minutes to enter, to get 500, to enter restaurant, to be seated, to order food, to get negative reactions, to decide to treat rest of the people. Maybe it's slightly unprepared. It's concept, but not life. But life should reveal concept, not concept to speak instead of life. My sense is a little be slower and be more careful. Be more careful. And for me, it's a little bit too fast. Everything. Okay.
Okay.
Was she ever in good places, in good restaurants? What it's a lot of questions about this woman. Even I agree, choice of woman. It's a little bit fast, veteran woman, but it's interesting. But it's also it's certain behavior, it's certain etiquette about how she is interacting with people, how she expected to be treated. Number of things. Don't rush. Yep. And again, if we're talking, Muratova's arsenic syndrome movie? No? Okay, just check. Muratova, just check first 30 minutes about women going nuts. This is important movie, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Elena, I assume you're going to shoot it in Los Angeles?
Yes.
Yeah. And you have your, although you may not have all the crew for here, but through your circle of friends, you have folks who can accomplish what you need?
Yes. Yes, with confidence, I say that.
Okay. And what is your budget?
Right now, budget is at about 7,000.
Okay.
Will you, how many people are in this scene? How many people are? You're saying 20 seats. How many people you will bring to the set as actors?
I will try to bring at least 15.
It's huge number of people to operate in small place. Because less people, they will be better defined, okay?
Right. So, you're advising to have less people?
This would be my advice.
Okay.
And again, be careful about holidays or just, I understand Christmas spirit, generosity related, but maybe this is not as important. But place which is disrupted by wrong element, this is important. And again, homeless people, it's such a huge thing in Los Angeles and nobody is making movies about them.
I agree.
Yeah, but the question is if women in conflict with restaurant as important versus life on the street of veteran women. This where real movie is. It's just advice for your next project, okay? Because you being next to these people, if you can really make something about them, this would be a great movie, okay?
Okay. So you mean focus more on the character rather than on the conflict?
It's not easy to do character because she's practically not talking. How you reveal character? You reveal characters through what person is doing,
Yeah.
like,
Gesture.
Yeah. You know, doing, not talking, doing, not talking, okay?
Great. Well, if
Where do
there
you,
are
wait. Can you give her a chance to, where would you like the most advice? Where do you think your weak spots might be? And
You know, I mean, I definitely, the project has gone through so much, even since the moment I applied for this challenge. And I think it now really, you know, has been coming together. I do really love the ending, to be honest. I love that at the end they all gather together. I think there is a powerful message there. And I do agree with you wholeheartedly with the fact that it's developing really fast. And it does need a moment of that kind of, that change, that turn, an element of surprise or something. And I also very much agree with you in terms of a character that you know, we need to know who she is, yeah, no, this has all been a fantastic feedback, and I think that I just need to really concentrate on developing who she is and how can I show who she is in a given time. I mean, the reason why this screenplay is 10 pages is because I was thinking about more of a, you know, again, thinking about budget and thinking about a 3-day schedule, 3-day shooting schedule. So 10-page script is a reasonable, again, I know it's not always, it doesn't always go by page, but, you know, that's kind of, I was trying to keep it as short as possible, but perhaps I should just like write a story as it is and kind of let the character come through and then work from there instead of.
My question is, did you talk to homeless women? Do you know what would be their experience coming to public place such as restaurant or cafeteria? What is need to go to bathroom or to sit at the table? Because bathroom and interaction with women who would start conflict in bathroom could be interesting way to start this conflict. This is not rushing, it's just going step by step, you know.
Right.
What is your need to wash your hands, you know, and you know, just don't rush, find behavior, but not, you know, also what she would eat, how she would eat. These things are very important, you know. Is she hungry? If she brings her food to put next to food which she is ordering in a restaurant, behavior of homeless people, especially if she is mentally problematic. Mm-hmm. But don't rush, respect behavior. This is very important. Again, Muratova, asthenic syndrome. This is movie to learn, first 30 minutes, okay? Yeah.
Спасибо.
What he said.
All right. We have about 3 minutes left. Yelena, hi. That was a wonderful pitch. Great job.
Nice
Thank you so much for your project. Any last?
You guys, it's been a terrific, you know, I love this challenge. I participated last year and I, you know, got a great like script out of it. Not great, but you know, just, it's great, very stimulating. And I'm so happy you guys went on with this challenge, even though there's such a madness going on. So thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Yelena.
Good luck.
That was Yelena Krivoshayeva from California, graduate of Chapman University, and now you just got an education from Boris from NYU Film School.
Oh my God. That's an honor. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you for all the feedback. Really
Good luck.
Take care.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Ashley. Ashley Kofelt has joined us. Ashley is joining us from LA, but she is originally from Maryland, graduated from Towson, and she is the first shorts finalist to be here twice. This is your second time competing. Last time she was the first to give her pitch, and this time she is the last. So I just have to say the name of Ashley's project, because it's so appropriate given the circumstances. Her project is called We Interrupt Your Regularly Scheduled Programming. So take it away, Ashley.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you all so much for allowing me the opportunity to still pitch. And I'm really, really excited to be here. Awesome. Our country is in crisis. Without addressing specifics concerning individual, partisan, and political views, my film seeks to tackle the break of a more perfect union by taking things back to basics. We interrupt your regularly scheduled programming is about a young dying girl, Faith, who interrupts the airwaves to remind a very distracted and segmented world the basics of our human experience, connection, and love. In our opening montage, we see a variety of people introducing each character facing stressful day-to-day life occurrences that are commonplace. A woman arguing with her parents over their wildly different political views, a vet being denied opportunities to integrate back into life, a child experiencing racism and bullying at school, a person overwhelmed with everything on the news about to take their life. In a dark room, young boy's face is illuminated by a computer screen, wildly typing on the computer, and in a breakthrough, he yells, signaling to get ready. After a brief countdown, a young girl's face appears on screen in the phones and television screens of all the characters we've seen. Faith Angelito, a 12-year-old Filipino girl, addresses her forced audience of a message she has to share because her own time is short. Each character watches this interrupted feed intently. She explains as a dying young patient girl she's been through a lot and seen many things, and her condition has given her a unique perspective on the way the world works. She touches on aspects of life that so many people have taken for granted, like going outside, seeing sunrises and sunsets. And while this may be complicated and frustrating for many, she notices a disturbing habit and trend of distraction and isolation. She urges everyone to put aside their differences for a moment and remember that as things may get bad, at all of our cores, we want to feel needed and loved. And if for no one else's sake, for hers, if everyone can put down their phones and distractions for a moment to reconnect with each other and themselves and dream big for this girl from Columbia, Maryland. As the video drops out, each character is forced to make changes from the situation we first encountered them. All right, so these visual references are snippets from my films that show or highlight editing or cinematography. Random Access Memories shows the opening edit style with dark overtones and static shots. Soldier On shows that light contrast with the soldier. Legacy shows the vibrancy of a youthful Filipino girl and her father to show the look and feel of the broadcast. Secrets That We Keep is showing the style of jumping between a girl speaking and others reflecting on themselves while watching this feed. I finally caught up. View of Eternity is showing that vibrancy of these flashbacks to what life can be. And Coming Home is showing the metaphorical light at the end of the tunnel for when our characters take action after the video feed cuts and cuts to the handheld cinematography. Another really cool fact about this film is that 80% of our crew is from Maryland, POC, LGBTQ+, and ladies. We've collaborated on over 100 short films and projects in the last 7 years. And the package that we would be winning with the Shorts Challenge is more than a prize. It's the opportunity that we've been all fighting for to advance our careers as underrepresented creators in the industry, and the opportunity for me as a Filipino American director to fight for representation on screen. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
You packed in a lot there.
Packed in a lot.
Good job.
Thank you.
Hi. When you're saying many characters responding to girl, when you're saying many, how many?
So it would be the vet. It would be the child who's being bullied at school. It would be the woman who's facing the harassment in the workplace. It would be the woman fighting with her parents. And then it would be the person about to take their life. So 5.
5.
Mm-hmm.
And how long will be your project?
How long? I'm thinking around 4 to 5 minutes. It's going to be very, very brief snapshots of these characters, but just enough that if we really, really focus on the set design and on very, very strong visuals, that you'll be able to get that message across very quickly.
Because you're talking about dramatic experiences of each of 5 characters.
Mm-hmm.
And you will be or hoping to present these experiences through visual what?
Mm-hmm.
Because when a dramatic experience, seriously talking, you have to take time to understand circumstances and experience. But when you're packaging so many things, would we have time to understand them, what they're facing? And then what is happening to them is also becoming experience of small girl. How these two things are, it seems to be many interactions in very short time. Again, 5 characters, what and how you will be presenting key dramatic experiences of each of them. Can you give us example, please?
Of course. So for the opening segment with the woman who's on the phone with her parents, I'm just going to be introducing maybe like 20 seconds of her being in a very chaotic environment, and she's arguing with her parents on the phone with very clear differences. I don't want to make a stance on one side or the other. And so it's very clear that she's having a frustrating time trying to articulate herself without being disrespectful to her parents. And then
are lines written already? Do you have
our
lines?
line, I have a very, very loose script, but usually when I work with my actors, they like to collaborate on that. So I do have a script, but again, it's open for my actors that I'm working with to help with their...
What would be assignment, for example, in first conversation? Because you saying it's conversation with parents. Will we see parents or it's just girl?
No, just the girl. But you can just hear from her side of the phone conversation that there's something not right.
No, something or something specific.
Something that, because again, I don't want to make a stance, but just reflecting on my own experiences with my parents, we live in two totally different lands of political belief. And so when I talk to them, it's constantly like, I watch the news and they watch the news and they interpret what they want from it and I interpret what I want from it, and we both are getting angry that the other one can't understand.
Can you package it in 20 seconds? You said 20 seconds on the screen of this dynamic exchange between young woman and her parents. 20 seconds. Can we understand really what is happening in the family?
Absolutely. I think between the performance of the actress and having very strong dialogue and establishing that this is very commonplace with her frustration, like visually in performance, and with like, no, like I'm tired of talking about this. I'm tired of having this conversation with you. Like you just don't understand, like that kind of.
I appreciate. And my second question, can you illustrate same thing about second character?
Of course, yes. My background is in shorts. I'm very, very proficient in shorts. I've made 125 short films, and this is what I do very strongly: is create depth with characters in a very short period of time, and create an emotional attachment with the audience to these characters, and create a resonating experience no matter what your background is. And so, in the case of the veteran that's unable to assimilate back into life, I want to have him on the computer very frustrated at his wit's end because he's been trying, like you can see that there's hundreds of emails in his account that he's been sending and he's not getting a response back of he needs to get benefits. And then he can like make a phone call as well if we need to articulate that. But we can illustrate that along with bills piling up on his counter. Like, again, this is all really production based, that we can tell a very dynamic and strong story, but it's going to be built on the performance, on the set decoration, and making sure that we have a very, very strong dynamic of collaboration between all of those: visual, set deck, and performance.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay. Very exciting and ambitious. And nice to see you again, actually. I don't know if you remember me. I think
Of course.
I remember you. I have a question.
Sure.
Could you say your whole title again? Like your first two sentences? You went very fast.
Sure. The name of the film, or just that top part?
Yeah, just not any introduction. Just tell me the title.
Sure. We interrupt your regularly scheduled programming.
Okay. I feel that then you're asking us with this 4 to 5 minute piece to then fill in the rest with this splash of 5 people in situations that are frustrated or in conflict.
Mm-hmm.
So is it sort of ... And if so, I felt, how are you going to avoid each of these quick scenes from becoming a stereotype that just, again, is ... I don't know. I think it's exciting, but I felt like, what are we doing? Where are we going? What do you want us to take out of it, except that these are frustrated experiences and we're having this in our life and this is an interruption. I guess I needed a little bit more of the objective from what happens.
Sure. So what I'm hoping that the audience takes away from this, obviously it's a little bit different of a landscape than when I wrote this to like, all of us are literally on lockdown. So I think the coronavirus in this really odd sense has like done what I wanted this to do, of like literally a hard stop interruption into people's day-to-day life, because I see and I observe so frequently people are constantly upset with their own experiences and without an opportunity to like just take a breath, you know, like go out and have, when's the last time you watched the sunrise? And I see people so isolated on their phones while they believe that they are truly connected, but instead of being on these devices, which is the exact way that this young girl, Faith, is disrupting the airwaves, that's the way that they're getting the message to put everything down and reconnect with each other.
Ashley, this is Jack here, and to echo Mimi, good to see you again. And I remember you last year because you were so on top of your pitch. You know, you put it down, which was great. Same this year. Will each one of the characters, are you going to film in the same style, or there's going to be a divergent style to sort of separate them?
I'm so sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a different color palette that I want to explore with each of these characters to have the different themes. But the opening as a whole, I want to be dark. It's not going to be the same locations, but I want all of these characters to be like dimly lit, and I want everything to be static cinematography and the edits to be very minimal. In my dream world, we'll be able to do all of the opening pieces in like a one take to demonstrate the world very briefly. So it's literally a glimpse. And then when we're in the world of the little girl talking, that's going to be a very like bright lit, like hopeful message. And then when we come back to these characters, then it's going to be a lighter, like handheld cinematography, so that like things are not as static and black and white as they were before.
Gotcha.
You said main character is 12 years old girl.
Yes. Yes.
And she's dying.
Yes.
Dying of what?
Cancer.
Would she be introduced and her experiences as young girl facing cancer? Are you planning to do something about her life, or just face?
Like she's going to be talking about her life, but we are planning on having her, the actress that's going to be playing her, wear a bald cap, and like she's very frail and thin. So you're going to know that there's like some health problem like pretty immediately. And that's also the other thing, is I want it to be startling that you see her.
But you're saying some problems. In the same time, you're saying cancer. You understand me? Because what question is, what we will understand about this girl, besides her being possibly skinny, possibly sick-looking girl? Because it's very important thing and very crucial experience facing this kind of disease. And just to use face to illustrate point, is it sufficient?
Well, I have a lot of experience with people that have had cancer, and especially with young girls that have had cancer. And with my experience, they don't want to appear too frail. Like they don't want to have, like my one friend's sister doesn't want to have her like medical bag in the background when she's talking. And she spends so much of her life in hospitals that like she wants to appear as healthy as possible. And so in doing my research with this, I have talked to a lot of young girls that have had cancer, as well as used my experience volunteering in hospitals, that I do want to articulate that she's sick, but then I don't want to drive that home and be like the driving factor, because it's very much in her dialogue that she's presenting, hi, my name is Faith. I've been in and out of hospitals my whole life because I am a recovering cancer patient, but I know that I don't have a lot of time left. So I don't want to be rated that like she has cancer with like her appearance.
But you know, for me, I have no experience, and I don't know what it is to be young girl and facing this kind of horrible thing.
Mm-hmm.
Me as an audience, I would be very much interested to learn from you and your characters what you know. This is one point. Second, what is progression of your project? From what point to what you would like to lead your audience in 5 minutes?
I'm sorry, can you rephrase that question?
I mean, you're starting with frustration and you finish with
hope.
And how you arrive to hope, because from your description, you have 5 characters, each of them frustrated with their lives. And how you arriving to hope at the end of these 5 minutes?
So I am hoping that Faith, as the 12-year-old Filipina cancer patient, is the disruption in all of these individuals' lives. So I'm also a Twitch streamer, and the whole way that this idea was born is that I see so many people just wrapped up in themselves. And so in all of these experiences that I'm touching on with these 5 other characters, it literally could be something as simple as like just shutting your laptop and like remembering to go back to the basics of like, there is this whole world out there. And like, while this character who's on the phone arguing with her mom, like all she can be caught up in that moment before having her feed interrupted, for lack of a better term, with this message. It's kind of that like, oh my gosh, like, you know, I know that we're different, but like, Mom, I love you. Like, and I have to remember that. And then the vet understanding that he's had all of these opportunities turned down, but like, that's not all that there is to life. And likewise with the person that's overwhelmed with everything going on in the news, is that like, sometimes you just have to go outside and take a deep breath and remember that like, we're all kind of in this together, that we're not that different after all. And that like, you don't have...
I understand your conclusions, but I would like to ask you to help me to understand what will be on the screen to arrive to point of hope, on the screen to hope.
So I'm going to have, while she's interrupting their feed, all of these characters are going to be watching it. And that's where the progression is going to be made of like, the woman that's experiencing sexism kind of like looks over at the person, her boss who's having this altercation with her, and realizes that like, she doesn't need to be in this situation. She can leave. And so she's literally starting to like leave in the middle of all of this happening, like realizing like, you're right, like there is more to life. Like I don't need to put myself through this. The person that's overwhelmed, the shot is going to be literally like they're on top of a building, like looking down. And then as they're getting this message, they're slowly like stepping back and like slowly walking themselves back to the point that they're not going to jump off the building anymore. Like that kind of thing. Is that what you're talking about?
Okay. I appreciate your description. Thank you.
Okay.
What I'm hearing is that your title, which comes in interrupting each character, is like a character in itself.
Yes.
Or like the finger of God or something like, and then everybody goes like this. So it's an interesting technique. It asks a lot of me, the viewer. And I just not sure I can quite get with it. I mean, I think it's really intriguing, and I think your idea is there. But I think I'm with Boris in that I don't know. It doesn't prove to me that she's hopeful, but maybe he stepped back from the ledge. But then it's just this title. We're interrupting. I don't know. I feel like the visual is the title itself and is the character. And that's the driver in the whole film, which is interesting. I mean, this is abstract. I think you've touched upon a really abstract method. And I'm trying to help follow it because I think it's really exciting if you can get it. And I know you're proficient at shorts, but I'm having trouble, but I like it.
So
I hope you understand a little bit.
No, for sure. I can understand where I might be losing you a bit. So Again, me being a Twitch streamer, I routinely watch the way that people interact with my stream. And I'm a music streamer, and then I screen my films. And so in a way, I'm the distraction for so many people. And the way that I see it is that so many people need a wake-up call. And so we interrupt your regularly scheduled programming is literally that, is that I think people are so caught up in their day-to-day life of misery that it takes something to jolt them out of their regularly scheduled programming for themselves. And the best way that I could achieve this in story form is introducing these characters. And you may not develop a like long-term relationship with them, but this is almost like doing it in like a bite size of a commercial, that you introduce enough of a character that you understand who these characters are. But the real story is this young girl that seems to have a perspective on life of the hope and the light and the love and the connection aspect of it. And she's the one that draws all of this together for them. And so she is that disruption in their life, that she meets them where they are, obviously like finding them on their smartphone, on their television screen, on their computer screen, and encourages them to disrupt their regularly scheduled programming and do something of hope, of light, of love, and reconnect with either themselves or with others.
So what's your last scene?
My very last scene is going to be the guy completely walking away. So I'm going to have him, the guy that is about to kill himself off the ledge.
Right.
So that his intro shot is going to be him on the ledge. And so then his last shot is going to be him out in expanse of like nature and realizing like there is more to life than just that.
So you don't go back to the girl? No.
The girl, as soon as the feed cuts out, she's done.
Ashley, which movie you have in mind stylistically, or the way you're trying to make your film? Which movie you can suggest as a reference to understand you stylistically, or the way you're constructing this experience?
I don't have a movie that is like well known, but I've done this style in a lot of my films that cuts in between a person doing a monologue and then showing all of the other characters and where they've ended up, or where they've been disrupted in their life. But
and my probably last comment or recommendation, probably you do something what I don't know, like being present and observing other people's experiences in lives, which is unique. And maybe it would lead to some interesting project. My question is, if you're talking about this girl to be influenced, is she influenced? I'm asking you, is this girl influence a person to step away from the building? Why she's making his decision not to commit suicide?
in my experience, a lot of my friends and a lot of my community on Twitch has bouts of suicide thoughts and depression. And one of the things that I've noticed is that a lot of them don't really want to die. They just need somebody to tell them that they are loved and they're worth it. And that's why it's so important to have hotlines and these type of things for people to remember that they have somebody to talk to. And I think for this person in particular in this insert is they just need that person to stop them. And it doesn't matter who it is. And it happens to be this little girl.
Yeah, for me, it's something unique what you know. And I think 5 minutes, in my sense, it's not enough for us and for your characters to get to certain interaction, which would help us to understand what their critical situation is. And then to see how certain steps or certain interactions can resolve certain dramatic points in people's lives. It's something unique about this network of self-saving, but I don't know if you can really help us in 5 minutes, which leads to experimental filmmaking, but not to understanding of what exactly happened with 5 characters in your life. Because when you're talking that this girl and her presence is important for each of these characters, then I don't understand how a woman in conflict with her boss could be influenced by this girl. It's, you know, I'm trying to understand, but you are presenting dramatic point, but I'm not certain how interaction is happening. You understand me? Again, this is discussion and we are talking to you. I think something you know is unique. I don't know what you know. I wish I would have more time to understand each of these experiences and healing element of sick girl providing light.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think an issue we're all coming up against is a lot of it is generational. You know, you're talking about Twitch and Insta this and Insta that. I mean, I don't live in that world. Certainly my son and daughter do, you know, so I think that's something that, maybe these brief things, they can catch on to, the younger generation catch on to a lot easier than we that look for long character development.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely can see that, because this has been my experience too, is that we lose, like in this modern age of like Quibi, which is another platform that's, it's like everything needs to be very short and very dynamic. Yeah. And this has been my experience with pitching for networks and stuff, is they want that intro of a character in 20 seconds. They like, it doesn't need to be this drawn out thing because people's attention spans are gone. And so something that's very quick, and especially in this like age of like mobile, everything, that like you have all of these platforms that you have to draw somebody's attention quickly. That's why it's like, for me, I was like, okay, we'll develop these characters very strong and have all of the details that you need in the shot and have very dynamic storytelling, but do it quickly, almost to a commercial level. But yeah, I do think that has something to do with it too.
In my understanding, dramatic experience needs time. Tragic experience needs time. Because when we spend not enough time with dramatic thing, we're undermining experience itself. It's like responsibility. If you're talking about suicide, you have really helped us to understand what would lead to young men to consider this, even to step close to committing it. All these experiences you're indicating all deserve much longer time for understanding. It can be done in dynamic way, in experimental way, but we need understanding. And in my sense, you're providing to us points, but not understanding. And in order for us as people to understand each other, you initiating project, you are expected to help me to understand your characters. And I don't have enough time. Even with guy who is on his computer trying to get appointment and bureaucracy is fighting him. It's not only this thing which is bad or dramatic in his life, it's much more. And just to, you kind of taking what almost is familiar as your point to build concept, but familiar is not good in art. In art, what is working is novelty and non-familiarity, you know?
I appreciate all of this that you just said, and I agree with you. But with the character that is about to commit suicide, I don't think it's important for you to, as the audience, to know what drove him there. Because if I'm trying to connect with you, you're going to see that there is a young man who is stepping out on the edge of a building that has tears running down his face, that's disheveled, that is a mess. And I think by leading you exactly how this man got here, I'm disrespecting you as the audience member to be able to draw on your own experiences of connecting with that character. Because a lot of times when, and this is my experience creating content for my streaming for Twitch, is that when we, for lack of a better term, like present all of the information to an audience member, I kind of lose them, and that they might have an experience with depression and they might see this character and identify, but then the more details that I add to him right off the jump, I'm taking away their experience as the audience member of being able to relate with that character.
Question is, did you try to provide experience in full? It's not like entering someone else's life. And last thing, movie called Muchette. Do you know this movie, Muchette?
No.
Bresson?
No.
Will you make note for yourself?
Sure.
Bresson. It's about girl committing suicide, I can tell you right now. But he spends 96 minutes, I think, in order for us to understand outstanding character. French director Bresson, name of the movie Muchette. Maybe it's very different from what you described it, but it is about great director, step by step, helping us to understand unique experience of this young girl on the screen. I respect, appreciate. Okay, thank you.
I mean, one thing that, as you were last talking, Ashley, it's interesting. It's like every one of the viewers that are going to see this, I would love to hear a discussion afterwards, because everybody's going to have their own take on how he got to that ledge, you know, and that's what I find really intriguing. It's like, okay, here it is. You, the audience, you decide what brought him there. So I kind of like that idea with all of them. You know, the veteran, you know, you decide what's going through his mind now. It's sort of, we become part of the movie, you know.
But question is, how do we know that guy who's sitting in front of computer is veteran? Just because what he's wearing I don't know. How
excuse me, I just need to cut in here. We have about a minute before this shuts down automatically. So
okay.
I think those are really great last thoughts. Mimi, did you have anything last to say?
Well, I guess I'm trying to figure out the structure as well as the meaning of everything. And to me, this is not a story telling as we tell stories, but it is a collage, a montage that you're presenting in live motion. So maybe we call it something else. It's more Snapchat, you know, alive, and each one's a little story, but it's a mix. It's a montage, and that's it. And if the girl is the overriding faith and hope, I don't know how it gets to the man jumping off the ledge, except that he knows the girl or something like that. But anyway, the structure would be a question, but I get it as it's many little stories, and it has a big meaning that we've got to stop and look at ourselves or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess that's it. But
it's a great project, Ashley. Thank you.
We
will let the jurors deliberate, and we will post the results tomorrow. So check out the website. Good luck to everyone. It's about to shut off in a second.
Good luck.